Okay,
Awesome.
it's all yours.
Well, good morning, Arlington Neighborhood Village. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you inviting me to share a little bit about the office of the sheriff, an office that I have called home for 24 years. I'm very proud of my office, of my team. I'm proud to be Arlington native, and I'll tell you a little bit more about myself and about what the office of sheriff is up to here in Arlington County. So. My name is Jose Quiroz. I was elected sheriff in 2023. Before that, I had started my career here with the sheriff's office on September 10, 2001. So I started the day
Wow.
before 9/11, and obviously a lot changed after 9/11. But when I started here, my career, I knew I wanted to serve my community. And little did I know what would happen the next day and how that would affect not only my service, but our profession and our world. Before I joined the sheriff's office, I was in the United States Marine Corps for 4 years. So I served in the Marine Corps from 97 to 2001. And if I hadn't gotten out, I would have definitely been deployed and sent overseas after September 11th. Obviously, the military activated, and so I served 4 years prior to joining the sheriff's office. And before that, I'm an Arlington native. So I grew up in Arlington. My family is from Honduras. So I am the son of immigrants. I'm very proud of where I come from. I'm proud of my parents and everything that they instilled in me. And I mentioned to you that I was in the Marine Corps. So I was at the wonderful Paris Island, the home to the island that creates Marines. And then I went into obviously the sheriff's office. So I went to the police academy. But I say all that because I've been to a lot of training, right? Formal training. But the things that really I feel as a leader affect me now as the sheriff and as a community member, a father, a husband, are the things that I learned when I was at home with my parents. And those are lessons that I still to this day carry with me as the sheriff. And I see myself as here as the sheriff, not only in the community, but with my staff as like a father figure, right? And, as a parent, as a father, as a family member, a brother, a son, we care about each other, we take care of each other, and we look out for each other. And that's what I want to do for the office and for my community. So I grew up in Arlington. My parents came to this country in the early 60s. I was born here, and we moved to Arlington. I was born in Maryland, but we moved to Arlington when I was very young, maybe 3 or 4 years old. So I attended Abingdon Elementary School. I went to Kenmore Middle School, and then I went to Swanson for a bit. And then tragically, my father passed away when I was 13. So I've experienced loss very early in life. And it was very tragic, but it showed it. I have a brother, and it brought my mother and my brother and I very close together, obviously, after a very traumatic experience. And mom decided, wonderful mom, decided that Jose was going to go to Catholic school. So then my mom enrolled me into Bishop O'Connell High School. So I went to Bishop O'Connell, and when I was 13, 14, now my whole life I had gone to public school, and mom's like, "You're going to Catholic school with uniforms and just different friends." It was a lot. It was a lot, and I really. Thinking back, I didn't appreciate it because, as a teenager, you're like, no, I want to do this and that. But now I still have connections with the school. My children now attend Bishop O'Connell High School. And last year I got I received the Distinguished Alumni Award from Bishop O'Connell. And so when I was on stage accepting that award, I really thought back to when I was a young man sitting in that auditorium, how much I didn't even realize how much life was going to bring my way. And, as a kid, you're wondering, am I ever going to grow up? Am I going to have children? Am I going to have a girlfriend? Am I going to get married? And here I am now with my wife of almost 20 years and two wonderful children. And so life with its ups and downs early on in my life, I'm very, 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 very blessed now to be in the place where I am. So I start in the sheriff's office in 2001. I've done everything in the office with the exception of working civil process. So I was never assigned to civil process, which is serving papers. And so I never did that. But everything else in the office, I pretty much was assigned to at some point in my career. Uh, Fast forward to 2023, I ran for office and I was elected sheriff. And what an experience. You know, I don't come from a family where folks run for office. I'm the first one in my family now for a lot of things, but I ran for office and I learned a lot. And it was really a journey. Not only my son is a senior, so he's in the midst of, you know, finalizing his college prep and essays and all the things that come with college preparation. But he wrote his college essay on the experience that our family had when I ran for office. And I hope to be my son's number one role model along with my wife. And I think that, you know, I learned a lot, but talking to my family, we all learned a lot about what it means to run for office. And it's more than just, you know, putting your name on the ballot and saying that you're going to promise to do all these things. It's a lot goes into it. We had to move. We had to, because I didn't live in Arlington, I lived in Fairfax. And so we had to move. We had to really, it was a family experience, but it was a wonderful experience, if you ask me. I think the American dream, you know, here's a guy that his parents came to this country. My parents didn't know English. My parents worked very hard. And now their son, I'm the first Latino elected sheriff in Virginia. And so it's quite an honor. And every day that I get up and I put on my uniform, I just think of my parents and my grandparents that worked so hard to provide for our family. So it's truly an honor. I'm going to keep saying that over and over again. But here I am as the sheriff. So I get elected, and now you have the office, the keys to the office, and as a leader, you have to decide. So what are you going to accomplish? So what is Jose going to accomplish as the sheriff? And I decided that I was going to, these three key initiatives that I have. And hold on to your seats because you've never heard of these three key initiatives before, right? They're so unique, but they really, 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 really speak to my heart and what I want to accomplish as the sheriff. And so here we go. The first one is making sure that I have a safe and progressive jail focused on rehabilitation. And so, and I didn't talk about this. Let me back up just a little bit. Sorry, you all. I get excited and I'm trying to jump in here. But the Office of Sheriff, in case you're not familiar, you don't know, the number one question I get is, what's the difference between the police and the sheriff? And so here in Arlington County, my responsibility as the sheriff is to oversee the jail, security in the courthouse, and to serve papers that come from the court. So civil process, eviction, summons, show causes, warrants, things like that. And so I'm not necessarily doing the patrol in our community. I do have deputies, about 10 of them, that do civil process. And because of the nature of their work where they're out serving papers, they are also monitoring the radio. And last year we did assist with that bank robbery on George Mason and Columbia Pike. So we do assist and support the police department, but that's not my primary function. And I'll get back to that a little later. But so that's the difference between the police and the sheriff. And I'm quite certain everyone here knows that, but just in case. And so as the sheriff, my three initiatives are making sure that I run a safe and progressive jail focused on rehabilitation. The three words that stick out to me are safe, progressive, and rehabilitation. So I currently have 340 people in the Arlington County Detention Facility. It's my responsibility to make sure that these folks are safe. They have the medical care, they have food, they have security, shelter, all the things that all of us in the community have. I say this all the time, that the detention facility is a community. It's another association, a civic association. People live and people work in that building, and so it's a community. My second initiative is building community relationships, so community engagement, which this is what it is, what I'm doing now. And bringing the community into the office, making sure that I'm transparent, making sure that I'm sharing what the office is up to, where are we headed, what are some of the initiatives that we're implementing, what are some of the changes, what are some of the struggles that I'm having. And so that's my second one. And the third one is the wellness and development of my staff. And so I'm really speaking to three groups, right? I'm speaking to the inmate population because that's a big portion of my responsibility. I'm speaking to the community, which is you all, which is a massive part of my responsibility. And then my staff and the people that I work with. And those are also a big part of my responsibility. And so those three groups are, just those three things, nothing big. The community, the folks that are incarcerated, and my staff, which is, it's a lot, right? And so every day I wake up, I have like this 89-page list of things I want to accomplish. And you probably scratch off two or three a day, but it keeps me going. There's so much to do. And I'm going to get into each initiative a little bit more in detail, but it's really work that, as I mentioned earlier, those three groups, we're dealing with people, either our community, people that are incarcerated, or people that work here. And so a lot of my work is making sure that everyone in those three groups has things that they feel safe, that they feel like the office is moving forward, and that I'm being present with both groups. Last night I was at the Alcova Heights Civic Association meeting. Tonight I'll be at Aspire's banquet at Army Navy Country Club. So Jose is very busy. I have about 89 pairs of shoes. I'm changing shoes, but I love what I do. I really, really love what I do. I don't know how in the world I got to be in this position as elected sheriff, but when I had the conversation with Sheriff Arthur when she was retiring, she says, Jose, you care about the office. And when she said that, I felt, okay, she's got me, because I do care. I care about where the office is, where the office is going, and what are we doing to support our community. And so I'll get into a little bit of details about each if you don't mind.
Okay, we do have a couple of questions.
Okay, sure.
The first one is, how big is the sheriff's office? How many people are there?
Sure. Yeah, so currently I have a little over 200 deputy sheriffs, and I have about 60 civilian staff. So I have about 260 staff currently. I have 40 vacancies for deputy sheriff. So there's 40 vacancies that I have that we're trying to fill. And we're doing a lot better. When I was elected in 2023, our vacancy rate was 17%. Currently, we're at 5%. So we've done a lot better, but there's always more to do. And so actually, right before this meeting, I was in our training section talking to some of our new hires. Last week, 2 weeks ago, I sent 12 new recruits to the academy. And I'm very proud of this. Out of the 12, 10 are from different countries. And so I had a couple from Africa, several from Central and South America, and one from Asia. And so we're doing well, where it's a constant with hiring and recruitment. But yeah, I have 260 staff.
Okay, when you talked about your first initiative, you said you wanted um, you talked about what you wanted for the jail.
Right.
And the question was, when you say you wanted to run a progressive facility, what do you mean when you say that?
Yes, yes, yes. No, and I was going to get into that with my initiative here. So progressive in the sense of, where are we and where are we going, and what can we do to improve care? I'll give you a couple examples. So currently, I'm in the middle of transitioning our medical care from contracted to in-house. So now all the medical care will be provided by the sheriff's office. And what does that mean? That means I hired my own doctor, I hired my own nurses, I hired my own medical staff. They are county employees, and they are part of my team. So I am no longer going to pay a contracted medical service provider that are for profit. I'm going to have all these employees in-house. I think it's going to improve the care. It's going to have Jose and my team at the table interacting with the medical team more directly. And we're also bringing in community stakeholders, such as the VHC, the Department of Human Services, the new public health director, the fire department, the police department. I want to make sure that we're capturing all aspects of the care that we have of the people that are in custody. we're a county jail, so that's different than a prison, right? So a lot of these folks that are in my care are going back into the community. They're going to come back and be our neighbors, the people that work at the places where we frequent, the grocery stores, restaurants, dealerships, Jiffy Lubes, all that stuff. And so uh, that's what I mean by progressive. Another example of progressive is we started a doula program. So we have a doula program in the jail now. We're the first jail in Virginia to start a doula program. So what does that mean? That means when someone's incarcerated that's expecting, that's pregnant, and when they go to the hospital to deliver the baby, we now have a partnership through a nonprofit where a doula comes out to support the incarcerated individual as they're going through the birthing process. Not just that, we start way in the front with the prenatal care. So now we have this, it's called Birth in Color. That's the name of the nonprofit, Birth in Color. And they're based out of Richmond. And so Birth in Color comes in to talk to folks that are incarcerated that are pregnant, that to talk about prenatal care, do checkups with them. They're not necessarily doing the doctor's work, but they're supporting and advocating for this person who's expecting. We also do postpartum care through this doula program. And so we had 2 births at BHC last year from 2 inmates, and they went to the hospital, gave birth. After they had given birth, the doula nonprofit supported them through pumping milk and ensuring that we were able to provide this person with all the resources they needed to ensure that the postpartum portion of the birthing process was, they were taken care of, with treating people with some dignity and respect. I'm very interested in the calorie intake. Historically, when you're pregnant, because you need more calories, right? You have another person that you're carrying, a human being. You get additional calories, and so you typically do peanut butter and jelly, and but I want to do. Can we do yogurt? What is it that we can do to improve the care for the person that's here? I think I want to start a garden. We're looking at starting a garden inside the facility. We don't want to just talk about healthy lifestyles. We want to show folks, like, give them real world examples of how you can improve your health and the care that's given to you. This new medical program, one of the ideas is, when they're in our custody, obviously we want to ensure that we're providing the best care possible. But what happens when you're released? What happens if your family has a history of diabetes or cholesterol? Can we send you out with more education and a plan so that you don't have to continue that same lifestyle or the issues that you may have? And that might not necessarily have brought you into jail, but you're still a person and those things matter. And so those are the things that we're looking at with this new medical program. We launch the new medical program November 1st. So we're 2 weeks away. We've done a lot of work. We have a correctional healthcare consulting company that's supporting the transition. So it's not just Jose and his crazy ideas and we're going to move with that. We have a correctional healthcare expert consulting firm through the National Institute of Corrections that supported this transition. And I want to just say, because you all are community members, we couldn't have accomplished this without the support of the county manager and his office and the county staff. We had to create all these positions, and they have to do the job studies and all the HR tasks that come with creating positions. And so, kudos to the county for supporting me. This is something that I ran on this. I ran that I was going to improve the care in the jail. And I'm very proud that we're moving in the right direction.
Okay, we've got a couple of other questions, but if you're going to answer these later, just say so and we'll move on. I don't want to
Okay.
derail you too much.
Yeah.
The next one is, what kind of services, if any, are offered to detainees with mental health challenges?
Yes. I'll talk about that later on. Yeah.
Okay, and the last one was, can you describe your department's relationship with ICE?
Uh, I'll touch on that as well.
Okay, figured as much.
Yeah. So the first initiative, I talked about a safe and progressive jail focused on rehabilitation. So I talked about the medical care, the doula program. I also implemented a biometric system, and I think that's progressive. When I started in 2001, we were handwriting everything in these ledger books. We then, about 10 years later, went to computers. Now we just implemented last year this new device that scans these tags on the wall in the jail. So the deputies are moving around and interacting with folks more than just being stationary at the desk. We've always been interacting, but when you have to go back to a central desk and type in every single thing, nurse in the unit, GED instructor in the unit, trade card in a unit. Now we can do all these things through this device. It looks literally like a cell phone. And so you're scanning these tags as you're doing your security rounds. You can also speak your report into the device. So the technology has really advanced in our profession. And I mentioned the biometric sensor. So I implemented these biometric devices. And that captures heart rate, pulse, and movement, which are three very important things in a correctional setting. And currently, I apply these devices to anyone that's going through withdrawals, anyone that has a severe medical concern where the medical department feels that we need to monitor this person a little closely, more closely than everyone else. But the county was able to provide me with funding to outfit the entire jail because we needed to update the wireless access points, and it's a jail, right? So there's a lot of concrete, a lot of iron, so it's not easy to just implement these devices. We had to outfit the jail with the proper technology, and so we were almost finished with the final phase of the entire facility being outfitted for these biometric sensors. And so currently we only have them in the medical infirmary. But my idea is once Jose is released from the infirmary and I go into general population, I would like to continue monitoring Jose. And so that's why we had to outfit the entire facility with the wireless access points and the equipment needed so that it could capture the data. So again, another example of a progressive idea of how we can support folks that are incarcerated. We have a robust mental health team. I have 16 mental health therapists from the Department of Human Services that work inside the jail. So these are 16 staff members who are county employees. They work for DHS, Anita Friedman's team, and they're assigned to the jail. We also have a medication-assisted treatment program, which is for opioid use disorder. And so folks are given medication so that it reduces the cravings and the withdrawal symptoms. And so we're doing a lot of work to support people. We don't decide who comes in. I should have said this earlier. These are the folks that can bring arrests into Arlington County Detention Facility. Arlington Police, Falls Church Police, Virginia State Police, Park Police because of GW Parkway, Pentagon Police, Airport Police because of Reagan, Metro Transit Police because of the Metro system. So, and I know I'm missing a few here. Airport, Pentagon, Metro. So it's more than just Arlington Police. As you all know, this area, the nation's capital, is super busy. So if there's rallies, if there's an event, the Marine Corps Marathon, all that affects our community. And so my point is, on any given day, we can get anyone in the facility with all sorts of concerns and challenges that now become the responsibility of my office. And so just being ahead of that is what part of what I want to accomplish, making sure that we're addressing folks' concerns. We're all different. I don't know how many are on here right now, but out of all of us on this call, we all have our situations and medications and concerns and this and that. And so it's no different inside the facility. I have speaking on, you asked about programs. We have a lot of programming. I have a full-time GED coordinator, Mr. Patrick Wallace. I have a full-time ESL coordinator, Ms. Sharon McKay. I have a ton of volunteers that come in. Yesterday, we had a reentry fair So I had 29 stakeholders, vendors come in inside the jail, and these folks provided information to the folks that are incarcerated. It was like a job fair, but inside the jail. I had the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, the Public Defender's Office, Path Forward, Doorways, Arlington Credit Union, Apple Credit Union, AFAC. I had all these organizations here. So they were providing people with information and resources so that when they get out, you don't stop living frustrated. You still have family, you still have bills, you still have your children. And so we're providing as much support and resources to these folks as we can. Let me go on to the second one because I could stay on each one forever and ever. So let's go on to building community relationships. This is a prime example of that. I do a lot of meetings, both in person and virtual. We've done a big, I put in the chat our website. We just, we completely redid our website. I'm very proud of it. It's it's updated. One of the things that I added was bios and profiles on my command staff. I think you all as the citizens should know who's in charge of what. I'm going to share my screen really quickly because I want to show you. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully you can see my screen here. Can you see that? The
Yes.
organizational chart. Okay, so even creating something like this, and we've always had one, but it was I like photos. I think you should be able to see a name and put a picture to it, right? And
Can
so
you make that picture a little bigger, like hit the full screen button down to the lower right? The lower right, the two arrows going in opposite directions. There.
I
Yeah,
don't know,
didn't help much.
yeah, I highlight that. I don't know why did it highlight the whole thing? What did I do?
Yeah, or yeah, try that slider. There we go.
Well, let me see. Let me close it and open it again. I'm sorry. Let's see, Jose. Let's see here. Okay, you can see it now. There we go.
Yes, okay, that's good.
Yeah. And so here I sit as a sheriff. I have three majors, and they're all responsible for each of the divisions, the divisions in the sheriff. I have three divisions. The Judicial Services Division, which is this one here, Major Burgess. That's courthouse, transportation, civil process. So he's responsible for that. Major Juan Gelibert, he's responsible for the jail. We call it Director of Corrections. Anything jail operations is Major Gelibert. And then Major Foster, she's in charge of administration. So all these things here, training, budget, community engagement. The newest addition is here, Dr. Malish. So he's my new Chief Medical Director. Dr. Malish came to us from the Army. He retired after 32 years in the Army. He was a colonel in the Army. He was one of his last assignments was overseeing the 33 hospitals that the Army has. And so Dr. Malish, he's also a cardiologist. So Dr. Malish is a cardiologist, and he's my new Chief Medical Director. He oversees the entire medical operation now. All the positions are under Dr. Malish, and as you can see, Dr. Malish is directly connected, reports to me, and so I have a direct line to anything medical related. One of the things I hope to do in the future, and maybe you'll invite us back, is have Dr. Malish. He's going to be out in the community, engaging with citizens, meeting people. If you have questions, Jose knows a lot, but Jose is not a doctor, and so I have an expert now where he can answer your questions. And I think it was a massive piece that was missing from our team, and so I'm very proud of having Dr. Malish on the team. So I just wanted to show you that briefly, and this is on the website. But our website, I was talking about community relationships and community engagement. We're also, one of the things I did was I assigned a deputy to the police department's community engagement division. When the police department did away with their SROs, they created a new division in the police department called community engagement. And so they have, I think, maybe 12 police officers that are assigned to, various community outreach programs. and it's all under that division. And so I asked them, hey, would you mind if I assigned one of my deputies? And it has been amazing. I have Corporal Stephanie Ferris. She's one of my deputy sheriffs. She's on their team. Stephanie Ferris is bilingual. Stephanie Ferris is an Air Force veteran. And so she's out in the community, meeting people, explaining. One of the questions you asked was about ICE. And so, especially in the communities that don't speak English, there's a lot of, as you all know, fear, stress, worry. And so Deputy Ferris is meeting people where they are. And so what does that mean? I have her going to community events. I have her explaining to people what the role of the sheriff is. Yeah, even if you're born in this country, because I talk to a lot of folks, some people that are born here don't understand the difference between police and sheriff. And so if you're coming from another country and that's not, the way that law enforcement or the operations are where you're from, it's very confusing. So Stephanie Ferris, one of my staff, is out in the community, meeting people, explaining our uniforms, explaining our roles. And that does a lot. When you can put a face to the name, and she's now been in that role for 2 years. I did that soon after I was elected. She's been out in the community, and she's very popular. People request her. She does a lot of know your rights trainings with the police department for the community. And I think the fact that she's able to engage and talk to folks in Spanish and explain a lot of the myths. Folks will say, well, we see deputy sheriffs here knocking on doors. Are they ICE? We're like, no, we're serving civil process. And they're like, what's civil process? So then we get into that conversation. And we have these conversations at community festivals, community meetings, anywhere where we can have a sit down and talk to folks and meet people where they are. I go to a lot of events. I'm bilingual. And so we just had the Festival Latinoamericano over at Arlington Mill. I was there talking to folks. I want people to come up to me, and it could be scary for someone who's right now worried about ICE, and then Jose's in his uniform. And so sometimes I go in regular clothes, sometimes I wear my uniform, but at the end of the day, I want people to know that they can come up to us as the sheriff's office and ask us questions and get to know us. Our community newsletter, there's a link on my website. I really think you all would enjoy that. It's a quarterly newsletter, so we do it every quarter. The last one I think was about 40 pages long, and you might say, wow, that's a lot, Jose. But there's so much to put in. We wrap up each quarter with, staff awards staff have received, different initiatives that we've started, updates. One of the things that I kept hearing from the community when I was running, and even throughout these past 2 years, is we just want to know what's going on, and we want information. And so we've done that with this newsletter. And I would ask for you to go to the website and sign up. I hope your emails don't get bombarded. I'm sure we all get so many emails, but it's really a well put together document. We recently received an acknowledgement from the National Institute of Corrections for our newsletter. They said, wow, we're going to use this as a model for other sheriffs that are looking to engage in the community, because we make it fun, just like this chart. It's colorful. We have a lot of photos. So if I would ask for you to sign up. We also started a girls self-defense class for high school age girls. And so that was an initiative that my community engagement deputy, Stephanie Ferris, started. And it does a couple things. One, it brings awareness and safety tips and training to these young girls in high school. We also did one for girls that were going off to college. And the other thing that it does, which I really enjoy, is it builds these relationships with our youth and our public safety. It brings together folks, because these girls, yeah, we're doing training and we're talking about safety, but we're also there. I also heard, I went to one of the trainings, there was a lot of laughing, there was a lot of sharing stories. And I knew at the end of the training that it was successful because the young folks were like, hey, can we take selfies with you all? And I think if you're going to take selfies with young people, then you probably did something right. So it was really nice to see our youth and our public safety. Stephanie Ferris, my staff member, created the training, but we also included the police and fire. So we're being very intentional about how we bring together our public safety partners and we work together. I didn't say this in the beginning, but I have a really good working relationship with the chief of police, Chief Penn, and him and Chief Pavlitz, the fire chief. We meet every other Monday over. We're supposed to meet over coffee, but sometimes we don't have coffee. But we meet to discuss, what are some of our challenges? What are some of the upcoming, like Marine Corps Marathon is this Sunday, so we just met on this past Monday to talk about that. So we're very engaged. You don't see that in every single community. Sometimes the sheriff and the chief don't like each other, or the police chief and the fire chief, or whatever. We have a very nice working relationship. We respect each other's lanes, right? My lane is specific, and the chief has his lane, and the other chief has their lane, but we work really well together. And I think that's a benefit to the community. You all, the community members, benefit from us having strong, good, positive working relationships. I mentioned earlier that my primary function is not the patrol, but this Sunday with the massive event that is Marine Corps Marathon, I am supplementing Chief Penn, his department, with some of my staff to support him, because that event obviously is here, and a lot of it is in Arlington. And I care about the community. I want us to be safe. So I'm adding some of my deputy sheriffs. I think I'm adding about 40 staff to support the Marine Corps Marathon on Sunday. And so an example of partnerships and how we work well together. The last one I'll talk about, because I think we're up, do I have until 11? I know I want to leave time for questions. I'll wrap it up here. But my last initiative is the wellness and development of my staff. I am very, 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 very honored to attend, this meeting. Tonight I'll be at another event for Aspire at the Army Navy Country Club. I go to a lot of events, but I wouldn't be able to accomplish the work without my team. And that goes from the newest member that started on Monday to the folks I have here that have been here 33 years. And so I'm very honored, and I recognize that. And so I wanted to make sure that I highlighted how important it was. And so that's why the wellness and development of my staff is one of my key initiatives. I only have 3, and that's one of them. And I think it's appropriate because I wouldn't be able to accomplish the work as sheriff without my team. And so what are some of the things that we've done in this space? Wellness is a big one. And if you guys have, been in public safety, when I started, we didn't really talk about mental wellness. Everything was physical wellness. And so, we did, and I came from the Marine Corps, so I did pull-ups and running. I could have done that till, for hours and hours. But now we talk a lot about our mental wellness, and the work is very stressful. Staff work long hours. And so now we do a lot, I focus on a lot of the mental health, right? And so the county has partnered with public safety, and we've hired 2 wellness coordinators, Leslie Gear and Donna Young. They are both, we share them amongst the public safety. So fire, police, sheriff, and 911 call center. We all share these 2 folks. And then I have my internal peer support wellness team. And so we are very aware of the needs of the job and how stressful it can be. And so some of the things that I've done, we refurbished, updated our staff dining. And you might say, Jose, what does that have to do with wellness? Well, I'll tell you, staff work 12 and a half hours. And so I think they deserve a place to eat and relax for their lunch break that says, I respect you. So we refurbished, redid the staff dining. And we also implemented, we just updated our staff gym. We received a grant. So we got all updated new equipment for our staff gym. We painted it. I also have a wellness room where I have 2 recliners where staff can go on their lunch break and just take off their duty belt and just relax for a second, check their phones, make a phone call, check on their children. These are things that we haven't always had. And it's, I think, because the profession is, the awareness on mental health is there. For the development piece, we started a mentorship program here. So we partner, we put We partner a new staff member with a tenured staff member, and there's a curriculum that we go through. It's a 6-month cohort, and all this is facilitated through the county. And what I like about that is here you have a new person that's just starting off in their career with someone who's been here 20, 25 plus, and both people are going to have different concerns and different, but we're all on the same team. And last year when this mentorship cohort graduated, it was really amazing. We did it at an equestrian farm over in McLean. I think it was Great Falls or McLean, but we had a graduation and it was just awesome. You could say, well, what does equestrian farm have to do with being the deputy sheriff? But I wanted it to be in a space where staff felt relaxed. They felt, they were just away from the job for a second and they could talk. So we have that. We continue to send staff through different leadership trainings. I currently have about 3 staff members who are going to retire from my organizational chart that will be retiring in the next couple of years. So I need to start planning ahead on how are we building our next group of leaders? What are some of the areas that we need to focus on? What's some of that information that we need to plan for succession planning? And who knows what and who needs to know what? And so it's a lot to looking ahead, but I don't want to get caught off guard. I want to be very proactive. And so recognizing that folks are going to retire, we want to plan ahead. So yeah, I could go on and on and on, but I definitely want to leave time for questions. So I'll stop there.
Okay. How many people are in the jail at any one time, and how long is the average stay?
Oh, great question. I'm going to stop sharing here. I am going to, if you don't mind, let's see, I'm going to share again. Let's see. I think you can see my screen. Let's see. Hopefully now you can see it.
That's coming up. There we go.
Okay, so if you go to the web, I'm on the website for the sheriff's office. This is the main page here. And one of the things I did was we created a dashboard. It's coming up here. Let's see. Here's the dashboard, loading data. So currently, here we go. We have 377. Hopefully this toolbar isn't in the way. Well, you get the idea. There's 337 in the jail. And this gives you a breakdown. You see here, ethnicity, race, how many are residents. The 179 folks are Arlington residents, 157 are not Arlington residents. Gender, age groups. So on your spare time, if you want to go on the website, there's a lot of information here. How many people are pre-trial, 10, this code, 188 people are awaiting trial, 49 people are serving a sentence, 34 people are serving a sentence pending, I think they have to go to a program. I can't remember that code off the top of my head. I have 18 people in the ACT unit. So you can go on here later. But here's a stat I wanted to highlight for you. Out of this number, out of 337, 168 folks have some sort of mental health concern. And so that's a lot. More than half, or almost half. Then you can see the age groups here. So we did that because we wanted to, I get this question all the time. And so I wanted for the community to have information accessible. So I think, what was the other question? How many people?
Well, is 6 months the maximum length of time
No,
somebody can spend there?
no. We can hold people right up under 2 years. So 2 years and under, you will be here at the Arlington jail. Anything more than 2 years, you'll go to the Department of Corrections. So if you're sentenced to anything more than 2 years, you'll be sent to the to the state penitentiary.
Does the sheriff's office provide services specifically targeted to older adults, especially pertaining to protective services and scam prevention?
Great question. And I don't know how I didn't talk about this. Shame on me. We have been doing a lot of work with our seniors. We have been going to, and I say that, and then you can tell me what we're missing. but we've been going to Culpeper Gardens a lot. We've been going to Sunrise a lot. We just went to Sunrise a month ago. The staff here, we did a drive where we collected board games, puzzles, and then we took all of our collected items and we went to the Sunrise off of Glebe. And we spent the afternoon playing games and interacting with our seniors. And we've done the same at Culpeper Gardens. And so, couple things. One, it does so much for our seniors. Two, it does so much for us. You know, we live in our profession is a lot of crisis, a lot of frustration with people that are incarcerated and people that are not happy. And so to get away for a day and interact with some of our our community members that can bring us back to the good old days and how things were, and we were dancing at Sunrise and we were playing cards, and it was an amazing time. We do the same at Culpeper Gardens. We're going to a Halloween party at Culpeper. But I also recognize that not all the seniors in Arlington are at these places, right? And so what are we missing? I attended the Senior Olympics last year over at TJ, but I know that if you all have any in-person meetings or any events that we could attend, I mean, we would love to do that. I love to meet as many people as I can. I love to share our message, and so yeah, I don't want to get off topic.
I just wanted to interrupt here, but Jose,
Yes.
specifically, does your department provide any services? I mean, I understand in terms of
Yes.
community engagement, like
Yes.
protective services or scam prevention. What do our older adults need to know about that?
Yeah, so we just went to, I said we went to Alcova Heights yesterday, and the last week we went to Chainbridge Forest, and the scams was a big topic, specifically for our seniors. And so there are two big scams that are going around, where the jury duty scam, where it says, you know, I'm Deputy Sheriff Jose from Arlington and you need to pay this. And so we want to educate as many people as we can. We have information, I believe, on our website. We also have pamphlets and flyers. I know the police department has done a lot of work with, you know, what to do if you're contacted by someone who's posing, you know, that you think might be a scam. We want people to report them. I just got a request the other day and it said, I knew it was a scam, but I don't know if I want to waste my time. I said, no, you need to report it, because we're keeping a log of all these things. And, you know, there's different dashboards that we have, who's being targeted, what area codes. But specific to your question, are we going out and having scheduled meetings about these scams? No. When we go to civic associations, and we bring it up. I don't know if that answers the question.
Well, I also was wondering if you've got older adults out there who might need some sort of protection because of either a caregiver or some family member. Is that your job, or is it the police department's job to investigate that, either by yourselves or in connection with the Department of Human Services? If, you know, if somebody is in jeopardy, is that your job or somebody else's in the law enforcement?
That would be the police department's job. Yeah, they would get the report and then do the investigation.
Okay.
You said you had 337 inmates currently. What's your maximum capacity?
We can hold right under like 650, but that's like every single bed, jam, you know, no big.
Does every person in the jail have their own cell?
So some of the cells, that's a long, I'll give you the short answer. We have cells that have double bunk beds, and then we have cells that are single. Depends on your classification and why you're being held, why you're incarcerated. If you have mental health concerns, you're going to be in a cell by yourself. If you're lower custody level, like petty larceny, or if it's appropriate for you to have a cellmate, you'll have a cellmate. Honestly, right now, the number is low, and so there's really no need to double bunk anyone. A lot of folks prefer to be in their own cell because of privacy, and so
Okay, we're about 5 minutes to 11, just so you know. And we
Yes,
had a couple of questions asking about the relationship between the sheriff's office and ICE.
yes. So here's the answer. And I have an information sheet on my website with all of this, but we do not participate in the 287G. In order for me to hold someone, I need a warrant from a magistrate or a judge from ICE. So we don't hold anyone just because a ICE officer says that they should be held. I need a judicially signed warrant. Um, my deputies are not supporting ICE in the sense of, you know, they're looking for folks. We don't do that. I do have deputies that are serving civil process, so a lot of times people get confused and think that we are ICE, which we are not. So we do a lot of work with the property management and folks that we, especially those multi-unit buildings, we give property management. One, the deputies introduce themselves, and after some time, they get to know who the deputy is. Because my deputies are assigned to specific areas of Arlington. So if Jose was a civil process deputy, I would always work in Columbia Pike. And so, and it's usually a 3-4 year assignment. So I get to know my area. We call it an area.
Okay, Jean, you said you had a question. Do you want to unmute and go ahead and ask?
Okay. Yeah, Jose, it's really great to see you again. I mean, we worked together, we overlapped in the detention center for 12 years. I campaigned for you, helped you get elected, and I'm delighted that you succeeded and glad to see the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Part of the reason that I did campaign for you is because while during our 12 years of overlap in the detention center, and I should clarify, I was an employee, not an incarcerated individual, for those who don't know my background here. I agree with Beth Arthur, the previous sheriff, that you are a man who cares. And I saw you as a man of integrity, really caring about the humanity of the people within the detention center, both staff and incarcerated individuals. My question now relates to the Americans with Disabilities Act, and in particular to folks who have what we call invisible disabilities, whether it's difficulty hearing, vision impairments, sensitivity to chemical substances such as fragrances. And you'll remember that during our time of overlap, one lawsuit was brought against the sheriff's office, and the Department of Justice investigated in 2015 in response to a complaint. And a result of that investigation, in 2016, the Department of Justice decided that the sheriff's office would pay a settlement of $250,000. Soon after that, I spoke with the sheriff because I was concerned about folks in the detention center, other folks who possibly could make claims under the ADA. And I was concerned that the sheriff's office would be exposed to another lawsuit. For folks, you know, you spoke about the concrete that makes the building and makes certain adjustments difficult. Another element of that building is that the windows, most of the windows do not open. And there's a certain ventilation system in there that the air quality could be problematic. And so in my conversation with the sheriff at that point, I was especially concerned about the many people who were bringing into the detention center scented products, either in a container of air freshener that they would spray on their person as perfume or cologne. And I was aware of a number of folks who were being harmed by that. I was also aware that a lot of people hesitated to request accommodation under the ADA. And so the sheriff, rightly so, brought in a specialist on ADA policy to speak with us. And she asked me to speak with her newly formed ADA coordinator. So I spoke with Lieutenant Hull. I spoke with, who was the other one? I spoke Lieutenant Hull, Lieutenant Johnson. So I was delighted to be consulted. I have a background in epidemiology and public health. And so I was delighted to be consulted. And in that consultation, what the ADA policy professional who was brought in as a consultant, what she said is really in the environment of the detention center, the only way to provide accommodation for folks who have a chemical sensitivity and request accommodation, and considering that many folks won't make the request, but you still want to ensure a healthy environment for folks who are on there, as you said, up to 2 years in an environment where the windows don't open. Staff are coming and going. If they're sensitive to scented products, they'll go home later this evening and they'll have some fresh air. Not so for the incarcerated individuals. And so the ADA professional really recommended and said that the only way to really be compliant with the ADA in this situation is to have a fragrance-free environment, a scent-free environment specified by nobody can bring into the detention center a scented product, whether on their person in the form of perfume or scented soaps, or by carrying in something, a product, whether it's the religious oils that were brought in or could be brought in by an imam or other faith practitioner, perfume, air freshener, what have you. And so the sheriff came out, and I still have a copy. I was so delighted with her work. She came out with this document. It's being blurred by my screen, but I'm happy to share the document with folks, dated March 13th, 2016. And this is a special directive which became policy inside the detention center and in the other locations where, as you've just described, your purview, certain areas of the courthouse and in the vehicles of deputies who are out serving warrants and doing other work, completely fragrance-free. So the Arlington County Sheriff's Office is to be completely fragrance-free in order to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act. I was so delighted when this came into being. I no longer work at the detention center. I've taken my expertise in public health over here to Arlington Neighborhood Village to promote healthy living among Arlington's adults who are not incarcerated. And I bring this up because I was very distressed recently when I called your office on another matter, and I brought up this policy, and I was told that it's not being implemented. And I was really disturbed by that because it was instituted by your predecessor. It was instituted for the health and well-being of the folks under your purview, the incarcerated individuals, the staff, the volunteers, all of those folks, for their health and well-being. And you've spoken at length of everything that you do for healthy lifestyle and safety and wellness, which I applaud. But I really hope that you will also find time to ensure that this policy continues to be implemented. And I'm interested to hear from you if you have any, maybe perhaps I'm mistaken, perhaps it is being implemented and you have programs and processes in place to ensure that it is. And so I'd be happy to hear from you on those matters.
Thank you for your question. I will say that one of the biggest projects we have coming up next year is we are renovating and installing a new HVAC system in the jail. And that's a massive, massive, massive project. And the jail was constructed in 1994. And so it's getting up there in age. And so the air quality, and both in the summer and in the winter months, it's always a concern with a building. You know, it gets too hot on the top, it gets too cold on the top, depending on the time of year. So I think that's going to be, it's overdue. So that's going to 100% support in it. To your point, none of the windows open. And I think obviously for obvious reasons, they don't open. But we do have fresh air day rec yards. So our incarcerated folks are allowed to go outside and get fresh air. All the housing units have access to open air recreational areas. One of the things, I saw somebody wrote deodorant, and I have a teenage daughter, so I'm very aware of Bath and Body Works and how powerful those scents can be, and even perfumes and all that, and if you're sensitive to it. And so I know you reached out to my office, I think it was a couple months ago. And so I will have to look into it. I can't answer that right now. To your point. But I will say the staff that work 12.5 hours, we're dealing, and I want to respect this group, but I have to keep it, it is what we deal with. We do have we do have incidents where there's urine, there's feces, And that's a strong, I mean, that could be the opposite to the staff working in those environments where we don't have something where they can clean that up. And I'm not saying we need to use chemicals that are, super powerful that no one can breathe. So I think we need to find a balance, because I think to say fragrance free, and I 100% understand and respect what you're saying, but I think we need to revisit that. And we're happy to contact you. I have your contact information.
Sure, we can talk about that. I will clarify that on the policy directive, it does address the fact that chemicals will be needed to do cleanups and painting and all of that, and that's addressed in the policy.
Right.
And part of my point is that when I was working in the detention center, there was a staff person who worked regularly in the particular unit that's there for treatment of folks who are coming off addictive substances, and they're being treated for that. Perfumed products. I'm not talking a cleaning agent to clean up the pee and poop that have gotten on a floor. I'm talking about a staff member who likes to wear a particular perfume, or like Steve Cordell has said, deodorant. Those are things individual people choose to put on their body to come in. Those artificial products are actually neurotoxins. So it's not that a person doesn't like the scent and wants to go up to their rec area and get some fresh air because they don't like the scent. These products are neurotoxins. They can cause people to become irritable, angry, start a fight, do all kinds of things that they would not otherwise do unless they were triggered by the neurotoxins in these perfumed products. And when you think of folks who are in the addiction treatment unit in the detention center who don't have access to fresh air, except if they go in their rec yard periodically, and the person who comes into that unit to theoretically help them to recover from addiction, and that person coming in is covered in perfume. So that's really what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the need to do painting now and then and clean up an area now and then. In those situations, you could take the affected individual and take them to an area where that scent does not exist. That's very different. So it's very different items.
Sure. Yeah, and again, I'll have to revisit that, and I'd be happy to contact you and follow up.
Okay, sure. We can talk offline. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
I have one
any
last
more questions,
question.
Gary?
Well, we've got one more, but I have one. Are there any volunteer opportunities with the sheriff's
Oh,
office?
yes. And this was asked at another civic association. I said, how can Jose forget that? But we have many opportunities. I think COVID had, kind of hindered that for a bit, but we're back. I did want to mention this. I have a new initiative that we launched several months ago. It's called the Frederick Douglass Project for Justice. And so this new initiative invites community members in for a tour. You can only do it once, so don't get too excited. You get it one shot at it. You come in for a tour, we do dinner, and then we have a facilitated conversation with some of the inmate population. We've done it now. We're in our 6th session. It's very, very successful. We've had excellent feedback from both. We call them the inside participants, the inmates, and the outside participants. The idea is Ms. Rade has worked in the facility, and if others have been on a tour, then you understand. But if you've never been inside, you really don't understand. Every jail is different. You have to visit the one, in your locality. I think it's in our community. And so it's called the Frederick Douglass Project for Justice. We should have a link on our website. If not, I can drop my email here and you can reach out to me. And I'd be happy to connect you with Kristen Kane, who is our volunteer coordinator. We have also a lot of our volunteers come in through organizations, but if you're not a part of an organization and you just want to volunteer, if you have a specific topic or talent, Ms. Kane would be your point of contact. And I can drop all that information in the chat.
Okay, and the last question was that with judicial services, do you sometimes get support from the police, especially if you're like serving a warrant and you think it might escalate into violence?
Yes. We do. We would give We always obviously let the 911 call center know where we're going, and we call it marking out. So we mark out with 911 with the dispatch. They know where we are. I have about 10 deputies that are on patrol serving civil process, so we're usually nearby to support each other. If we have obviously information that it's a high risk or something, we plan accordingly.
Okay, well, I think that's all the questions.
Well, given the fact that it's 11:11, it seems like we're past when the program was to end, but
Yeah.
there were some excellent questions that were given, and thank you, Jose, for providing a lot of information about the Sheriff's Department in Arlington.
Oh,
So,
thank you for having me.
all right. So next week will be intuitive eating in the holidays. We're getting to that time when we should start thinking about making sure our diet is still good during the holidays. And so Alana Sullivan, who is the registered dietitian with Arlington's Agency on Aging, will be our guest. And so be sure and tune in at 10 o'clock next Wednesday at October 29th. So meanwhile, have a good week.
Yep. And I'll say we, ANV did a tour of the jail. It's been a while, but it was a fascinating afternoon. So I definitely recommend it.
Yes. And if you want to organize a tour, I wouldn't do more than maybe 20 or 30, but we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me know.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.